The Olympians have finally been introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe thanks to Thor, Love and Thunder, but there's a whole world of lore and possible bad guys that could come as a result. After the mainstream success of the mighty Thor and Loki, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby presented a world similar to Asgard but with a whole new pantheon of superheroes to explore. Their arrival is just in time too, because with multiversal exploration unlocked in the MCU, we can begin to see epic battles between gods and heroes. So this is everything there is to know about the Olympians. There are numerous primary Olympians and an estimated population of 125 on Olympus. Their government is organized into a monarchy where 11 other primary Olympians serve on a council to back up the decisions of the one true ruler. This is, of course, directly tied to the 12 Olympians of ancient Greek religion and mythology. These consisted of the major theoi such as Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Hermes, Hestia, and Dionysus. However, cults would make different groupings of 12 gods, and the 12 gods chosen for the Dodekatheon in Marvel Comics is not always the same and doesn't always include Zeus. In mythology, they are referred to as Olympians because they are rumored to have lived on Mount Olympus, but Marvel Comics takes it a step further into the fantastical with a dimensional bridge at Mount Olympus connected with the magical realm of Olympus. The dimensional bridge is very similar to the Bifrost, and Olympus is almost identical to Asgard. This is because Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were trying to make a whole new world of superheroes that were also based on mythology similar to the world of superheroes based on Norse mythology. Choosing a leader for this Dodekatheon is easy. It's always either Zeus or Aphrodite. Well, it's actually always Zeus unless he has to leave, in which case he allows Aphrodite to temporarily take his place. When in charge, Aphrodite allows non-Olympians to live on Olympus, something that would never happen when Zeus is around. The introduction of Olympians into the MCU marks a point where gods and historical figures begin to affect the storytelling. This is sometimes due to time travel, which we will likely see more of in the future of the MCU. It's hard to say what effect the Olympians will have on the MCU, since the movies don't always stick too closely to the source material, but with the introduction of Zeus taking place after the introduction of the Eternals, we're likely to see an alliance between the Eternals on Earth and the Olympians. In the comics, this team-up is due to the resemblance between the Greco-Roman gods and their celestial counterparts. While he is an Olympian, Pluto does not live in Olympus or participate in the Dodekatheon, despite being one of the siblings of Zeus. He instead resides in the Underworld, or Realm of the Dead, that is its own pocket dimension like Asgard and Olympus, accessible through both Olympus and Earth. The Underworld is said to be where the spirits of Olympians and their worshippers dwell in the afterlife. Pluto is ruler of the Underworld and a character similar to Loki, and that he acts as a powerful antagonist to the Olympians but hails from a similar origin. Loki does even team up with Pluto in the comics to attack Olympus using the All Black, which is something we might get to see in an upcoming MCU film, since now both the Olympians and Necrosword have been introduced. Within the Underworld, also known as Hades, there is a region called Tartarus. This is essentially the Olympians' version of Hell, where monsters, criminals, and prisoners of war would be banished by the Dodekatheon. Tartarus' counterpart, Elysium, is the resting place for angels and was originally ruled by Hela, who in the MCU is the first daughter of Odin. Pluto and Hela both are known as the god of death. Olympians are essentially superheroes based on Greco-Roman gods because Stan Lee wanted to create more content like Asgard. For this reason, all of the Olympians have a baseline of godlike superhuman abilities. To start off, their superhuman speed allows them to reach speeds of over 110 miles per hour, which is not quite as fast as a sports car, but it's insane for a runner. Combined with superhuman stamina, an Olympian can maintain this speed for a full 24 hours before fatigue even affects them. Their muscle not only produces less fatigue toxins, the muscle tissue is superhumanly dense. In fact, it's all superhumanly dense. Skin, muscle, and bone. This makes them heavy from a human perspective, especially since Olympus is so Earth-like. Olympians can take impact, temperature, and pressure extremes without sustaining physical injury, which makes them a whole lot stronger than Asgardians. Which is why when Zeus and Thor fight in Love and Thunder, it's pretty one-sided until Zeus's weapon is used against him. This means that if the Olympians bring a fight to the Avengers, it'll likely take several Avengers per Olympian, like fighting an army of Thanos. But Zeus, the Skyfather, would be an enemy far more formidable than Thanos. Okay, imagine how hard it was even to scratch Thanos. Damaging Zeus would not only be exponentially more difficult, the regenerative healing factor of Olympians is superhumanly abled. They can't grow back limbs, but any insignificant injuries the Avengers could do to an Olympian would be healed in combat with superhuman speed and efficiency, meaning that even if they could make a scratch big enough for a drop of blood, it would instantly be healed. Honestly, some Olympians could probably grow back limbs, it's just not likely they'd find themselves in a position where someone was able to remove one. The supporting evidence that they would be able to grow back a limb is that their regenerative healing factor is so high that their hair would immediately grow back if they were ever to cut it. This is because once they reach adulthood, their bodies maintain themselves in the exact image that was actualized at adulthood. So any damage that is done gets reversed to restore their body to that image of adulthood. This is part of their godly life, the source of all of their superhuman abilities. Naturally, the stronger Olympians have stronger abilities. Unlike other characters in Marvel Comics and the MCU, Olympians experience true immortality because their experience of time simply comes to a halt once they reach adulthood. Their hair stops growing, unless of course it gets cut off, and their body never ages another second. Olympians won't die by normal means either, like injury or illness, so the Avengers really wouldn't stand a chance against an Olympian. Their experience of time and true immortality is directly related to their status of gods, similar to the rulers of Asgard. The difference being that the average Asgardian is only as durable as Spider-Man, whereas the average Olympian's power, as I have already stated, is that of a godlike superhero. The primary source of the Olympians' immense power actually isn't internal at all. Their superhuman abilities and true immortality are dependent on the consumption of Olympian Ambrosia. One superhuman ability possessed by all godlike super beings in the Marvel Universe is the Allspeak, a power that allows Olympians, Asgardians, and Heliopolites to be understood by and understand all beings regardless of language. Despite Thor's given explanation, this power is likely why he is able to understand Groot the way Rocket does. The power of Allspeak allows the Olympians to interact on Earth with a godlike presence communicating to a large mass of people. Every listener hears the voice in their native tongue and accent so as to make the conversation feel as personal as possible. For this reason, the ability is also called the All-Tongue, and it is shared by all of the extraterrestrial beings revered as gods in the Marvel Universe. The lore portrays them as ancient aliens, but the comic book superpowers were created with real-life religious significance in mind. The Olympians' powers and weapons are inspired by the historical myths and legends of Greek folklore. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby understood that the Roman pantheon is a facsimile of the Greek pantheon, so their characters use the names of both the Greek and the Roman pantheons, often changing their names to go in hiding from or deceive other gods. After Zeus, the strongest and most powerful Olympian is Hercules. He is the son of Zeus and Alcmena, making him half human, but this doesn't stop him from achieving feats that are insurmountable by even some of the primary Olympians. Hercules' humanity causes him to feel a need to defend it against the wrath of the Olympians, allowing him to become a member of the Avengers. It's likely we'll get to see Hercules in an Avengers lineup because he is easily compared to Thor as his Olympian counterpart. Both Thor and Hercules are the son of their respective realms' Skyfather, both feel a sense of responsibility to the people of Earth and a duty to defend them, and both have a bad history with Hela. At the end of Love and Thunder, we see Hercules get sent to fight Thor. But Hercules isn't a villain in the comics, although he is always introduced in this way. They soon realize that Hercules is too strong and their motivations are too similar. Hercules could replace Thor in the Avengers. They will surely need a superhero as strong as Hercules for whatever's next. Like Asgard, Olympus is a flat Earth planetoid inside a pocket dimension of expansive space-like void. Unlike Asgard, it isn't much bigger than a large city. In the comics, Olympus is linked to at least 4 other dimensions via interdimensional bridge. Olympus has a great hall for each of the principal Olympians, as well as a pantheon hall where the Dodekatheon meet. It's not clear whether the source of sunlight is from the Earth's sun, since the god realms are adjacent to Earth, or something totally different from stars entirely. While the source of gravity is also unexplained, there is apparently some force that keeps the bottom and edges of Olympus from eroding away, and the atmosphere from escaping. In contrast to the Earth-like nature of Olympus, the mass of all its objects, like its inhabitants, is at least 3 times denser than Earth's. This ultimately equates to all of the structures and materials on Olympus being much heavier and more durable than the earthly objects they would resemble. So Hercules is essentially a more durable Thor. Omnipotence City is an invite-only meeting place and nexus for gods of all types to come and blow off steam. The floating structure is similar to Olympus, although Omnipotence City was intentionally built over 12 billion years ago by the Lords of the Dawn. There isn't much lore surrounding who exactly the Lords of the Dawn are, other than the fact that they were the first of the Elder Gods. Elder Gods are ancient deities like Chthon. Chthon is one of the Elder Gods of Earth, the first life form spawned on the planet, but there are many other ancient deities in the Marvel Universe known as Elder Gods. One worth mentioning is Null, the one who created All Black and the Necrosword used by Gore. Since this is a meeting place for all gods in the Marvel Universe, there is a parliament of pantheons in Omnipotence City. The parliament is essentially an intergovernmental institution that promotes peace among all the pantheons in the universe. This is necessary because gods have waged war against each other since before the creation of this universe. Null, who I mentioned before, waged war against the Celestials for ending the existential void that preceded the creation of this universe. Since we've started exploring the multiverse in the MCU, we will likely start to see multiversal counterparts for off-Earth locations like Omnipotence City. Since the MCU has been designated Earth 616 after the comics, it's possible that other comic-designated universes could be seen in the MCU. Earth 14412 is a distant future universe where Omnipotence City has been left abandoned by any gods. In this universe, Loki wields the Necro Sword, giving him the ability to raise all-black Necro Ravens. In an attempt to defend Thor from King Loki, the only living inhabitant of Omnipotence City, destroys it. In the primary universe, Loki waged war against the Olympians using only the power of Hades, of which he is ruler at the time. The invasion of Olympus rose from the underworld with a horde of demons, but ironically, the trickster god is tricked into returning to Hades. Now that the Olympians have been introduced, it opens the MCU up to a world of possible shenanigans between the Asgardian and other pantheons. While we've already seen Loki lead hordes of enemies into battle like he did during the Battle of New York, the multiversal exploration of Phase 4 could lead to an MCU version of King Loki. The elder gods of the Olympian pantheon, Ouranos and Gaia, brought forth into Olympus 3 races of offspring. The first was a race of one-eyed giants called Cyclopes, who served the Olympians as makers of weaponry. His second wave of offspring were this time 100-headed giants called Ekatonchires, but the third time must be the charm because the next time Gaia gives birth to Ouranos' children, it is the divine humanoid elements called Titans. Unlike his other children, whom which he was repulsed by, Ouranos was proud of the Titans for their physical perfection. This didn't, however, stop them from being banished to Tartarus along with the rest of Ouranos and Gaia's children. It's probably hard not to hate your children when they're also your siblings. They're something like that. Because Ouranos isn't only married to Gaia, he is also her son. The youngest of the Titans, Cronus, eventually overthrew Ouranos and became the leader of Olympus. Cronus had several children with his wife Rhea. These would be the Olympians, although Cronus imprisoned Zeus and his brothers for fear of a prophecy. This ultimately resulted in Zeus overthrowing his father as well and becoming ruler of Olympus. Compared to the Bifrost's ability to transport users to Asgard from anywhere, the Olympians' interdimensional bridge is slightly less convenient. This is entirely due to the real-life cultural and religious significance of Mount Olympus that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby wanted to pay homage to with their new line of mythological superheroes. For this reason, the realm of Olympus only connects to Earth in the one location on Mount Olympus. Mount Olympus is one of the highest peaks in Europe and home to the Greek gods in Greek mythology, where they live under the watchful eye of Zeus. There are other Greek gods, but in the mythology, it is only the ones who reside on Mount Olympus that are referred to as Olympians. Interestingly enough, the Dodekatheon is not part of Greek mythology, and rather their pantheon consisted of a number of gods not limited to 12. The Greek pantheon includes gods that do not live on Mount Olympus, and instead represent things like the countryside and river. As I've already gone over, the Olympians of the Marvel Universe experience true immortality with a halted experience of time, and that includes a 100% resistance to natural causes of death, including illnesses. Their life expectancy is essentially infinite as long as they continue to consume Olympian Ambrosia. This consumption has to come at regular intervals, or they immediately begin to feel the result of their unhalted experience of time. The recipe is said to belong to the wife of Hercules, Hebe, who is also the offspring of Zeus and the goddess of youth. As the cupbearer to the Olympians, she is responsible for delivering the ambrosia. The nectar of the gods and ambrosia are combined to make the Olympian ambrosia at the Promethean Forge, which if destroyed would affect all of the living Olympians with the same effects as withdrawal from the Olympian ambrosia. I wonder if the Olympian ambrosia would have the same effect on humans or even the extraterrestrial godlike superheroes, although I suppose Thor is just as powerful without it. The best, I must confess, I have saved for the last because the top multiversal example of the Olympians is that of Earth 9997. In this universe, the Olympians are a race of extraterrestrials that were manipulated by the Celestials. According to lore, they are in the third tier of the Celestial mutation cycle. What does that mean? That their powers, identities, and even appearance is completely defined by the belief of others. So that means in this universe, they aren't the Greek gods other than the fact that the people believe they are. Rather than the mythology being based on them, they are based on the people's belief in the mythology. So basically, they still have all of the same powers and abilities as the Earth 616 Olympians, but their power comes from belief rather than the Olympian Ambrosia. As revealed in the Eternals, Celestials travel to fertile worlds to impregnate them and bring forth new Celestials, but leave behind a race of beings as defenders. This is made possible by Celestials manipulating the evolution of the dominant species on said planet. These Olympians weren't defenders of Earth, however. They were already in the third stage upon arrival. I could honestly go for days about the different multiversal versions of superheroes that war with each other, or the various pantheons of godlike superheroes in the Marvel canon. But for now, it's all rumors and speculation until the next Marvel movie comes out, which could cameo All Black the Symbiote.